In the previous segment, we talked about the frequency distribution of energy, and then we called it a spectrum, the frequency spectrum of the sound signal. And then that can be evaluated at a particular instant by taking up a small segment from the time signal. And but then this is about the measured signal, okay, and we can mathematically split them or their energies into different bins, okay, and then that is how we plot it. But the thing is, human ear is not equally sensitive to all the frequency bands. So that brings in the concept of perception. Means we don't perceive the same intensity of sound of different frequencies in same way, okay. Now based on that, a lot of experiments have been done, and from that some response curves have been developed, and that we can show like this. Where is that? Let's see. Yeah. Now, what these curves are telling us is, see, let's say this A weighted curve, okay. So dBA, if you remember, just before this segment I was mentioning that dBA was mentioned on that chart, and so whenever this weighting curve is used to give some weightages for different frequency bands, so that is called dBA. Now what does that mean? So this picture tells us like this. See, at 1000 hertz, so this point is actually 1000 hertz. Now at 1000 hertz, if you see it's 0, the value of this curve is 0. That means at 1000 hertz, whatever we are perceiving, that's the base level, in the sense human beings on an average, the ear is most sensitive at 1000 hertz, okay. So that means a microphone and the ear, they perceive almost similarly at 1000 hertz. So you can say that sensitivity is 1 at that. It's an arbitrary value taken, okay. So because it's the most sensitive point frequency wise. Now then if you come to say 200 hertz here, okay, can I increase this? Yeah. Now if I come to say 200 hertz, now that's fine. So I was talking about this 1000 hertz point, okay. Where is that? Okay, it doesn't matter. So this point we are having the highest sensitivity, and microphone and human beings perceive similarly. Microphones don't perceive, we perceive the same thing as the microphone. Now if at 500 hertz, if we come there, so if a microphone is measuring say 60 dB, then we will feel as if we are at -4 dB or -3 dB. So we will perceive it as say 57 dB. Okay, so there the perception of human being has been taken into account in this curve. And similarly, if I come to say 200 hertz, so I will have to subtract 10. -10 means if 60 dB is the sound which a microphone is measuring, I will perceive as 50 dB. Okay, that means my ear is very insensitive at that. And similarly, if I come to even 50 hertz, so almost like -30 dB. So that means a 60 dB sound, actual intensity, if it is 60 dB, I will be hearing it as 30 dB sound. Okay, so that's the meaning of this curve. And if a noise signature or a noise signal has been split into different bins by whatever method, experimentally or mathematically, then you have to subtract these values at those particular bands, and then you should add them. You will see how to add then the signals. Okay. Then you will get that dBA value of that particular signal. Okay. So, that means if a particular signal is having a sound signal which contains all the frequencies, maybe many frequencies from low to high, and if somebody tells you that it is having say 70 dB but 50 dBA. Okay. Now, what it means? It means that a lot of sound energy in that particular signal are in the lower frequency zone, and that is why we are perceiving it 50 dB and not 70, because 70 is the microphone reading and 50 is the human reading sort of. So, that is the meaning. And if somebody tells you that okay, it is 70 dB and almost like 68 dBA. So, that means all of the energy, most of the energy is lying in this zone, so that the perception is not playing a major role, and your ear is almost properly or one sensitivity is 1 near that place. So, you are not subtracting a lot of things, and you and the microphone are hearing exactly the same thing. And there is a slight increase if you go to 2000 hertz, okay, 2 dB around, you have to add that. So that is the basic idea about a weighting thing. Okay. Any weighting for that matter. So, just you are using a different curve for weighting those bins of energy which you have calculated from actual measurement from the microphone. In fact, sometimes microphones themselves will have a certain such curve, because all microphones cannot be flat means sensitivity wise across all the frequencies, because they are also sensors like our ears. So, they will have their own curve. You can apply that because the manufacturer would have provided that, and if you take that into account, obviously you will get a better value which actually the sound is, and from there you can calculate how the human will perceive that particular sound. So, that is about the dB and dBA sound pressure levels. And yeah, and then based on that there are some other concepts which I think we can discuss. Is where is that? I think I can go now. Yeah. Now, this one. So, this brings us to the topic of perceived sound. Okay. So, that is how the word loudness, we always use that word, right, loud. It is a loud sound, but then when we say loud, obviously we mean something to related to the intensities more, but it is not only the intensity which we are talking about. In fact, the loudness has got some components of frequency attached to it, and similarly when we say pitch, I am listening, I am getting irritated with a high pitch sound now, her pitch is very high. So, all these sentences when we say using the word pitch, again we are always invariably think about frequencies, but it is not alone the frequency, something has to do with even the the loudness. Okay. So then again because these have to do with a lot of perceived values, not exactly measurable things. So, all these things have to be evaluated only experimentally, experiments with actual persons. Okay. So, such curves, I will stop here for this segment, I will continue these pictures, and the concepts related to the loudness in the next segment, and we will discuss in detail.